Today is one of those cool fall days that makes you want to stay inside and sew. And I thought, in honor of today's Feature Friday, it would be a great time to show how fast and easy our feature pattern is while I have a cozy sewing day. So I wasn't originally going to go into the workshop today, but I just feel pulled to go in and sew up something great, and I'm going to take you along. So let's see how quickly this can come together, and follow me along for sort of like a day in my life as a sewing person. Lincoln, do you want to come sew? Of course, I am wearing something Love Notions today. This is actually the men's version of a sweatshirt. It's the tailgate hoodie and pullover. It is so cozy and warm right now, but I want something that's a little bit more fitted, a little bit more polished. And while this is great for just lounging around today, I am excited to make Arlington Sweater. I haven't decided what options I want to use. I haven't decided what fabric I'm going to use yet, but I hope that once I get into the workshop, it'll all just come into place and I'll get to sew something really fun and satisfying. I'm doing the absolute minimum in terms of getting ready because I just want to get over there and start sewing. The dog is already in the car, ready to go. As soon as I say, let's go for a ride, he is ready to go. Tammy's been out of town visiting her kids at college, and meanwhile, so I haven't been in the workshop this week, which I've kind of missed a little bit since I haven't had time to do this kind of thing in the past. Is I made the most delicious cinnamon rolls that you have ever encountered. Oh my goodness, everyone in my family was like, these are the best cinnamon rolls. I'm very traditional person today with my sewing and my cinnamon rolls, but it's been it's just time for that, you know. It's like the season for cozy things like this, so sewing sounds perfect. This is how much Lincoln loves being in the car for a car ride. Hi Linky, are you ready to go? You ready to go, good boy? I think traffic is one of the hardest things about living in the Chicagoland area, but hopefully during this time of day, there's not going to be too much traffic and we'll have a nice, easy drive in. On my way in, I realized I hadn't had a coffee yet, and that seems essential on a day like today, so I stopped at the new 7 Brew by my house and got a caramel macchiato for me, and of course, Lincoln had to have something too. Did you get a pup cup? Yummy, yummy. When we arrived in, Lincoln knew just what to do. He knew what kind of day today was going to be. So he grabbed his bone and curled up and just basically fell asleep for the rest of the morning. The workshop is feeling a little bit different right now because we got new lighting, and it's this weird kind of smaller, really bright lights. It kind of throws off the vibe a little bit, but what's nice about them is that they turn on and off when you leave the room, so I guess we're saving energy. And now that we've arrived, the first task is going to be to find a great fabric from our stash for my new Arlington sweater. A day like today would also probably be good to use to sort and organize our fabric stash, but I'm way more interested in sewing today. I'm going to be looking for about a 2-yard cut of any light to medium weight knit with about 40% stretch. I could use sweater knit, I could use jersey blends, interlock, French terry. I just need to keep in mind that if I'm sewing the cowl neck views or the dress view, I'm going to need a little bit extra fabric. I had a lot of cuts that I was looking at for this make. I was thinking about what I'm going to be wearing in the next couple of months and what would be great for the season. I think maybe something that's kind of fun for Halloween would be great. I saw some Cupro that looked really interesting to me. I found some cotton lycra that might just make a really nice, simple piece. So I guess the great part about this pattern is that you can just use so many different kinds of fabric that most of the things that you have in your stash can work to some extent for it, depending on what view or options you want. I finally narrowed my fabrics down to 3 possibilities, and I knew this was going to be the longest part of the whole process. So I've got this emerald green rib knit that would be great for the cowl neck version of the sweater. I've got this really pretty kind of mauve, muted tone, lightweight sweater knit, which I think would be great for a banded version of the turtleneck. And I got this cotton lycra in this really pretty sage green or olive green, I guess, color. It's got really great recovery and it's got nice structure and such a nice hand feel that I think it would be great for the mock neck version of the pattern, maybe with the elbow length sleeves, just like a nice basic. I decided I needed to look more carefully at the pattern pieces before I could make my decision on my final fabric. So I got out my pattern from our handy dandy organizer set here. Having all of my patterns ready to go at a moment's notice, it just cuts down on a lot of the time and helps me get sewing faster. Fully sure what fabric or views I'm going to be sewing, so I think getting a hands-on look at these pattern pieces might be helpful. I'll be sewing a size large, but I like having all these pieces and all of the ways that I've hacked this pattern in the past to kind of get my brain flowing and thinking about what the vision is going to be. One of the ways that I hacked the pattern previously was to take the salt whistle square neckline and mash it with the bishop sleeves and the banded hem, and I just love that piece. I'm not going to be doing a hack today. I think I want to go straight with what the pattern recommends today, but it's just kind of fun to have this all in one place to look through. After much deliberation, I think I finally decided on the options that I'm going to sew for my cozy Arlington sweater. And I think the deal today is that I'm just more concerned with doing something that's fun and satisfying and cozy and kind of leaning into like the fall vibes. So I had considered doing like the cotton lycra version with the mock neck, and I had considered doing something with this rib knit in this emerald kind of green, but I think I'm gonna go with this sweater knit because I want something that is like cozy and drapey and just like super fall vibes. And so that's what I'm going to be doing today for my fabric. And then the options, and there's so many options with Arlington Sweater that it took me a really long time to figure out which ones I wanted to do. It will likely take me more time to figure out these options than it will to actually sew the pattern. So let me show you what my options are that I picked out. I'm going to do starting at the top, I'm going to do the turtleneck version of this pattern. This is one of the reasons why we created this pattern, was because people couldn't find a good turtleneck. And I think fall, winter, it's time for turtlenecks. So I'm going to do the turtleneck version. I'm going to do the bishop sleeves. And so the bishop sleeves have like that extra volume at the bottom of the sleeve. And I think that'll work really nice with this more drapey sweater knit. And again, cozy vibes. Those bishop sleeves are capped off with a cuff. And then I think I'm going to do the hemband too. And I think what this does is make it be just a little bit more of like a dressier sweater instead of the flat regular hem. I think I'm going to do the hemband just to give it a little bit more of the feeling that it's like just a little dressier. So that's what I'm going to be sewing today. Let's go. So I've had my coffee. I've got the puppy chewing on a bone by the window. Could not be cuter. I am gonna switch out the thread on my sewing machine so that everything's ready to go. I'm probably gonna put on a podcast or some music and just enjoy the day with some sewing. That's very, very satisfying. Throughout this video, I've got some questions for you that I'd really like your feedback on. So if you could leave your answers in the comments, I would so appreciate it. It's about things, just regular sewing things and also some things that we're going to be offering in the future. And I just would love your input. So I'm picking out my thread here. My typical is to pick something that is a little bit more neutral. So I am going to go with this beige here. But when you pick out your threads, what's your plan of attack for matching threads? I don't always have the exact correct color, but I'm going to go with this neutral beige color to get going. So let me know what you do in the comments. And another question that I have for you that I would really like your feedback on is, what are the little small gadgets or tools or pieces that you always have by your side at your sewing machine? We're going to be doing an event at the beginning of 2026, and we're going to be putting together some highly recommended tools and offering them at an event we're doing. And we wanted to get your feedback on what are the must-have sewing tools and gadgets. For us, it's these tweezers that are super high quality. We love these thread snips that are just invaluable. I always have them next to me at the sewing machine. What sewing tools, gadgets, pieces do you, maybe just like uncommon things that you think not everybody has, but that are so utterly useful that you just can't sew without them? So I need to know what to do about getting everybody one of these lookbooks. We get more comments on this lookbook that we just made for ourselves than like almost anything else. People love this lookbook that we have, and it's just a collection of all of our best-selling patterns with the line drawing and the modeled picture and the size charts, and it's just in a spiral bound thing, and I made it on Canva, and I'm just wondering how you guys would like to be able to get that. We're considering maybe making it a freebie PDF that you could get with purchase at our upcoming sale. Printing this ourselves, I think, is just going to be way too big of a commitment for us, way too expensive to be realistic for any of you to get. But if we made it a freebie with any purchase during our upcoming site-wide sale in November, I'm wondering how you guys would feel about that. And I use the web service Canva to just order from there. It was about $25 to get it sent to us, and I feel like the print quality is fantastic. You could pick which pages that you wanted to print, and we could add new editions every year. And I could imagine somebody having this in their sewing space and feeling like they want to sew one day, and let me just flip through this hard copy, non-online item, the analog version, and it's like a catalog, and kind of go through and see what you want to sew that day instead of having to scroll. Much in advance for answering those 3 big questions. I'm so interested to hear your feedback. It's really important to us that we get your opinions on things as we grow and adapt and, go forward in this sewing world. All right, let's do a time check. It's 11:48. And I'm going to see how long it takes me to cut out, sew, and put together this pattern. I bet it will take way less than an hour, even with interruptions and snacks and playing with the dog. I wasn't super careful about cutting out my pieces to save fabric, so notice that I am doubling up my turtleneck piece so it's not cut on the fold. So that'll just mean it'll have 2 side seams, and that's not a big deal. So I'm going to start by getting all my cuffs and my hemband and my turtleneck pieces sewn on the side seam. So that's going to fly through the serger. Then I'm going to take it over to the table and I'm going to attach the sleeves. This takes a while because I do like to pin those as it goes through the serger. I'm not using anything but a serger for this entire project, which is certainly going to cut down on the time. If your sweater net is really loose and doesn't have great recovery, you might want to put some clear elastic in those seams. Lincoln got curious for just a second, but then he went right back to bed. It's 12:10, so it only took me 20 minutes from cutting everything out to doing most of the major seams. Now I'm going to take a second here and press. I'm going to press all of those seams that I put in, especially the shoulder and arm size seams. Using a serger means that it goes fast, but I also don't want there to be extra bulk there, and sometimes just flattening and pressing those seams down a little bit more and kind of like flipping them to the side that they want to naturally lay in smoothly, and just getting that good press in there with a tailor's ham is really makes a huge difference. So I take that curved opening and conform it to the curve of the tailor's ham. I flip all of the seam allowances so they're kind of going the same way, whichever way they naturally want to go. And then I take the iron and use the steam and really get some good steam in there, and then just lightly go over it on the setting that's right for my fabric. Next, I'm going to keep things tidy by clipping all of those extra threads. Again, just used a serger, so I've got those extra tails there. And since I'm going to be finishing all of these with cuffs or the turtleneck or a band of some kind, I don't have to worry about securing any of those too much more. While I was over at the iron previously, I made sure to press all of my bands and my hemband and my cuffs and my turtleneck. I gave those all a really nice press, making sure that the seams of the serger left are kind of flattened down. It's 12:34, and in this last section, I got a drink and took a little bit of a break, but all I've got to do now before my 1 hour time limit is attach all of these bands, and I know I can do that in just a few minutes. Do you struggle with having waviness as you attach bands on sweater knit? Make sure that you are only stretching the band and not the main fabric. That's the key. Now, what's the time check? 12:45. I started at 11:48. It's 12:45, and here it is. All right, I did it. It's the moment of truth. Let me take off this sweatshirt, this big comfy sweatshirt, put on my nice new sweater knit top. Love. It feels cozy. I haven't seen it yet. All right, you're seeing this before I am, so how do I look? What do we think? Do we like? I would say mission very successfully accomplished today. I wanted a nice, cozy fall make, and I absolutely got it today, and it took less than an hour. Arlington Sweater is such a great answer to that problem of not knowing what to sew in a limited amount of time. I'm so glad that I trekked out to the workshop today to get working on this sweater. It was very, very satisfying. It took very little time, and really the hardest part was picking out the options and the fabric. One of the great things about this piece is that I just used my serger, using the turtleneck view as well as the cuff sleeves and the hemband meant that I was just using my serger for the entire thing. One of the things that I did work on really hard with this particular make was making sure that I didn't stretch out the sweater knit too much. Sometimes you can have like a wavy look on the seams, so I was very careful not to stretch the main parts of the piece and only stretched out the bands of that I was putting on, the cuffs or the hemband or the turtleneck piece, because that can make a wavy thing, and that's always something that's hard with using a sweater knit or anything that's a little bit more chunky or that doesn't have like great recovery. I'm so happy with this make. I could wear this with my Bridget trousers. This would be so cute with that. I could wear it with my crescendo jeans. I could even pop this on underneath like my pianoforte jumper. That would be really cute. This is gonna take me all through the fall, and I'm really, really glad that I made it today. I hope that you get your copy of this pattern. Today, while it's on Future Friday sale, it does mean that it's over half off today only. So jump on the fall cozy sewing train with me and sew something that you're gonna really enjoy sewing and then be able to use later on as well. Let me know if you want anything specific when it comes to sewing content here on our YouTube channel. I always like to hear what people are interested in. Make sure that you go back and answer some of those questions that I asked throughout, especially about like the lookbook and tools that we've got. I'm really interested to hear what real sewists are using in their own sewing spaces. If you ever want any pattern recommendations or need any help or support for your Love Notion sewing patterns or anything else sewing related, make sure that you contact us here on YouTube or send us a message. Happy Future Friday, and see you later.